My journey to Islam began in 2015, but the seeds were planted years before. I had been deployed twice to Afghanistan, and, believe it or not, that's where my perspective on Islam and Muslims completely shifted. I met Afghans who were incredibly kind people. This experience made me realize that Muslims weren't what the media and Hollywood had portrayed them to be. They were just regular, hardworking people trying to live their lives, just like us. At that time, I wasn't looking for anything. I was just grateful for the new understanding. My brother, who was also in the military at the time, was a Muslim, but the extent of my knowledge about his faith was that he didn't eat pork. That's it. However, everything changed during the 2015 elections. There was so much negative talk about Islam and Muslims, it was just awful. People were getting really bold and nasty online. I've always been the type of person to stand up for the oppressed. If someone is being treated unfairly, I'm going to defend them. So when I saw people attacking Muslims, I thought, nobody's going to talk badly about my brother's religion. I like to argue with facts, not emotion. So I started researching Islam to combat the trolls online. I began reading the Quran and learning as much as I could. Eventually, I found an open house at a mosque in Nebraska and decided to go. I had a lot of questions, some of which were probably a little naive. I went in and asked about women's inheritance and the link to terrorism. I was grilling them, but they were so patient and kind. They answered everything, and I was so pleased with what I heard. There was only one question that bothered me. Why don't you guys eat pork? The person giving the presentation simply said, because that's what God said. I grew up Catholic, and I was very involved in the church. I went because I wanted to. I was in the choir and the youth group. But as I got older and started asking questions, the answer was always, just have faith. Or, it's just because God said so. That's what pushed me away from the Catholic Church. When I heard the same answer at the mosque, I felt a familiar pushback. I left that day thinking I had enough ammo to fight the online trolls, and that was that. But as I was leaving, one of the sisters approached me. Are you the one who asked about the pork? She asked. When I said yes, she explained the reasoning in detail. It was a sign to me, as silly as that may sound, because God knew my struggle with that very answer from my Catholic upbringing. After she explained it, everything just clicked. Right then, a brother came up to me and asked, what are you waiting for? What's holding you back from becoming a Muslim? I looked at him and said, nothing. He asked if I wanted to take my Shahada right then and there, and I said yes. I literally converted that very day. Believe it or not, I had already made peace with the fact that my husband would never convert. I thought, he'll be Catholic, I'll be Muslim, and we'll live in an interfaith household. But I had to grapple with the Islamic rule that a Muslim woman can't be married to a non-Muslim man. My common sense told me it made no sense to break up a loving, supportive home. My husband was so supportive, he would even take our boys to the men's section of the mosque to pray with them. Divorcing him would have made our children think that I left their dad because I converted to Islam. So I sought counsel from imams and scholars, and no one ever told me to divorce my husband. They understood that this was a unique case. Fast forward about 4 years later. We now have our firstborn Muslim baby boy, Alhamdulillah. One day, my husband asked if we wanted to go to the mosque for Friday prayer. We all went, and the imam's sermon was about building a foundation in Islam. He talked about how we shouldn't judge people for not wearing a hijab or for not speaking Arabic, and that it's better to be a sinning Muslim trying to get better than not to be a Muslim at all. He reminded us that Islam was revealed in stages, over 23 years, to help people fall in love with the religion first before the rules were revealed. When the sermon was over, my husband came out and he said to me, I want to be a Muslim. I was in shock because I never, ever thought he would convert. We went back inside and he took his Shahada right there in front of a few witnesses, including our two sons. It was the most beautiful and impactful moment for all of us.